Hey there everyone, Mr. Dicken here. In this video we are going to be talking about how to graph quadratic functions written in standard form. Standard form for quadratics is ax squared plus bx plus c. That is referred to as standard form. Now when we graph this, we care about two main pieces. The first of which is going to be the vertex. And the vertex is when you graph a parabola, it kind of makes a U shape. The vertex is going to be the low point or the high point. And that vertex is going to lie on an imaginary line called the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry. So when we find the vertex, the x value of the vertex is going to be whatever the axis of symmetry's value was. So if we can find the axis of symmetry value, we're basically getting half of the vertex. Well, the formula to do that is going to be x equals the opposite of b divided by 2a. And some of you might be looking at that thinking, hey, that looks familiar from quadratic formula. And yeah, you'd be right. To get the y value of the vertex, we're going to take whatever this x value is and plug that back into the function. Okay, so one of the key pieces we need here is the vertex. The second key piece that we're going to look for is all going to hinge on the a value. And the a value is going to tell us how we can find our next points. So when we find our points, we can use the fact that quadratics follow a 1, 3, 5 pattern if your a value is 1. And what I mean by that is once we know our vertex, to get additional points, I'll use this graph over here, we would go up 1 over 1, then up 3 over 1, then up 5 over 1, because the whole idea of a parabola is it gets steeper and steeper as you go out. So the a value is going to tell us whether we're defaulting to the 1, 3, 5 pattern, or let's say maybe a isn't 1, maybe a is 2. Well, then it would be 2, 6, 10. So I just doubled those numbers. So if it starts off with a 1x squared or a 2x squared, it'll tell us kind of how steep to make these sides. Okay, let's see some examples, shall we? All right, first one. X squared plus 6x equals 10. First thing I want to do is get my vertex. Well, in order to get the vertex, I need the axis of symmetry, which is negative b over 2a. For this particular problem, my b value is 6, so negative 6 over 2 times a. My a value was 1. So negative 6 divided by 2 gives me negative 3. So negative 3 is going to be my axis of symmetry. Visually, when I graph this, my axis of symmetry is going to be kind of like an imaginary dotted line that goes straight through the middle of the parabola. Well, now I need the y value for the vertex. Well, I've got a function, right? If I know x is negative 3, I can figure out pretty easily what is y when x is negative 3 just by plugging negative 3 in for x. So negative 3 squared, that would be a 9. 6 times negative 3, that's negative 18. So 9 minus 18, that'd be negative 9, plus 10 is 1. So 9 minus 18 plus 10 gives me 1. Well, that's the y value for the vertex. So now we have our vertex point. Yay. So we can graph that on the graph here, negative 3, comma 1. There we go. Now we can look at our a value. So our a value is a 1. If our a value is a 1, that means we get to follow the 1, 3, 5 pattern. And what that means is from my vertex, to get additional points, I'll go up 1 over 1, then up 3 over 1. And if I still had graph, I'd go up 5 over 1. So let's see here. Up 1 over 1 gives me right there. Up 3 over 1 puts me right there. And I'm already out of graph. Since we have an axis of symmetry, anything to the right side of this is going to match anything to the left side. So I can mirror these points over on the other side. Once you've got sufficient points to the best of your ability, you're going to connect the dots with a U shape, throw arrows on the end, and you're done. That's it. Another little double check you can do is the C value for all of these, the constant value. That's going to always be, if it's in standard form, that's always going to be your y-intercept. So a nice little double check you can do is kind of see, is that feasible, right? Does it make sense that this graph would hit 10 on the y-axis? And honestly, the way it's progressing, yeah, that seems reasonable. If it would fit on the graph, well, then you just got yourself a freebie point to plot. Let's see another one here. X squared minus 8x plus 13. So I need the vertex, and the a value is 1. So once I know the vertex, it's going to be the 1, 3, 5 pattern. So to find the vertex, we're doing the opposite of b, so positive 8 over 2a. A is just 1. So 8 divided by, that'd be 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the x value for my vertex is 4. Well, that's also the axis of symmetry. So I can plot that if I want to. So now to figure out the y value of the vertex, we need to take 4 and plug it back in for x. If I plugged in 4 for x, I'd get 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 13. Let's see, 4 squared is 16. Let me write this out because numbers might get big. 16 minus 8 times 8 is 32 plus 13. All right, so 16 minus 32 is negative 16, plus 13 gives me a negative 3. So 4 comma negative 3. All right, as soon as I know my vertex, the hard part is over. Since the a value is 1, I get to go up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 5 over 1, but I'm running out of graph. I'll do the same thing on the other side here. Just as a little mental double check, it says the y-intercept should be 13. If I keep trending in this pattern, it kind of makes sense that we would hit 13 on the y-axis, so I'm not seeing any red flags there. Once I've got my points to the best of my ability, I'll connect them with a U shape and move on. 2 more. All right, here we've got 2x squared minus 8x plus 5. Well, immediately some of you guys might notice, hey, we've got a different a value. So that's going to change our counting. Instead of 1, 3, 5, that's going to be a 2, 6, 10. All right, let's get our vertex first. So I need opposite of b. So b is negative 8. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. Over 2a, so 2 times the a value of 2. So that's 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. All right, so now we've got to figure out what's the y value. 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 5. Well, 2 squared is 4. I have to do the squared before I multiply. 2 squared is 4 times 2, that's 8. So 8 minus, that would be 16 plus 5. 8 minus 16 plus 5. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. All right, so I've got my axis of symmetry, which is the x value, and that was 2. And then we have our vertex point was 2 comma negative 3. Now, since our a value was a 2, I'm no longer going to use the 1, 3, 5 pattern. Instead, it's going to be double that, because it was a 2, of 2, 6, 10. So what that means is to get my extra points, I'll go up 2 over 1, up 6 over 1, up 10 over 1. So let's go ahead and do that. Up 2 over 1 in each direction. From there, up 6 over 1 in each direction. And I'm clearly out of graph, so I'm not even going to try to do the next one. Now I've got my points. I'll connect the dots. Boom. And just as a recap, it says our y-intercept should have been a 5. Well, hey, yeah, that's actually what we graphed. So, checks out. I know I did it correctly. All right, last and final one. Negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 4. Well, this one is going to be a downward opening parabola because we have a negative a value. So anytime you have a negative a value, you're going to have a downward opening parabola. All right, same as before. Let's get our vertex. So the opposite of b over 2a, it's going to be negative 4 divided by 2 times negative 2. Well, 2 times 2 is negative 4, so negative 4 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1. So now let's get our y value. Negative 2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 4. Let's see, 1 squared is 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 4 times 1 is 4 minus 4. So we've got, let's see, negative 2 plus 4 is 2, minus 4 is back to negative 2. So 1 comma negative 2. All right. So 1 comma negative 2 is going to be our vertex. Let's graph what we know, the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is at 1. Our vertex is 1 comma negative 2 right there. Our a value was a negative 2, so again, I'm going to be following this 2, 6, 10 pattern. But instead of going up 2 over 1, up 6, I'm going to be going down 2 over 1, down 6 over 1. So from here, we'll go down 2 over 1. From there, we'll go down 6 over 1. So down 6 over 1. And there we go. Once you have your points, connect them with a U shape to the best of your ability. And as a quick little double check, my y-intercept was supposed to be negative 4. And lo and behold, that's where we have a dot on the y-axis. All right, that's it for this video. You now know how to graph functions written in standard form. You know the drill, folks. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask. And as always, good luck, have fun, be safe, roll tide.